Hello and welcome everyone. I'm Suneha and thank you so much for joining us today. As host of today's webinar, Preparing MSPs for the Effects of Immigration Reform, and on behalf of all of us at 4 Dimension Technologies, we truly look forward to today's session. Leading our discussion are Miami-based RJ Brownlow, who is our US Business Development Manager, and Jagannathan, who is the CEO and Director of 4 Dimension Technologies. RJ will begin by outlining key issues thrust upon our industry, resulting from the new US administration's stated goals. Jagan will follow by providing practical, cost-effective ways that 4 Dimension can help you meet those challenges. RJ, you're up.
Our discussion today is focused on the H-1B visa program. H-1B visas and the effect of current legislation on H-1B visa programs and how it's going to impact us in the information technology arena. H-1B visas are non-immigrant visas specifically targeted to allow foreign workers to come into the United States to fulfill what we call specialty occupations. Those specialty occupations are typically science and technology, medical field, and predominantly in the information technology arena. H-1B visa holders are usually sponsored or always sponsored by multinational corporations, whether those corporations are US corporations or foreign corporations. The gap or need for H-1B visas is best articulated by this last bullet item. That indicates on an annual basis there are probably 500,000 open tech positions available here in the US as compared to only 43,000 US citizens with the capabilities of filling those positions. One of the things that are occurring today that has prompted us to put together proactive strategies for addressing immigration reforms is that the new administration recently circulated a draft plan targeted at the current cap on US visas at 65,000 to reduce those numbers to maybe as low as 25,000 per year, thus widening the gap that was previously identified on the other slide. Another initiative that's occurring was sponsored by California Congressman Darrell Issa, backed by a US Senator, with the objective of raising minimum entry-level salary of H-1B visa holders to $100,000 per year. The idea behind both the restriction in the number of visa holders coming into the United States and the raising of the minimum salary level of those visa holders is that it's widely held and believed that H-1B visas suppresses US wages and that US technical resources are underpaid as a result of the availability of a large number of foreign workers coming into the United States. What's interesting about the H-1B visa program as it relates to our marketplace is that 70% of the information technology H-1B visa sponsoring companies are companies headquartered in India. And they being companies such as Infosys, Tata, Wipro, they see the Trump administration's Buy American, Hire American philosophy as an indication that they need to start replacing their H-1B visa holders with US citizens. That's great for US citizens, but it's also going to create a greater demand for those of us here in the United States who employ those US citizens from a salary standpoint. In other words, we have multinational foreign companies out of India, for example, with specific plans to come into our communities, hire our local talent, recruit, hire, and train our local talent, and thus you'll see the wages starting to increase. What does that mean to us as services providers here in the US, particularly the small and medium level size? What effect will increased costs and wages have on our existing service level agreements? As the lack of foreign talent increases demand for locals, are we in a position, or will we be in a position, to pay higher wages to compete within that increasingly shrinking pool of talent? What also comes along with that competitive environment from employee standpoint is, will we be able to retain those employees that are loyal, that we've invested so much time, energy, and training into? And cumulatively, what effect would the rising salary costs, perhaps the turnover rate, have on our ability to maintain our targeted margins? Some of the potential solutions we see obviously are, we can increase the wages. That may not be feasible for your organization depending on what size you are. We can always strive to improve productivity. That begs the question of, what if your team is already stretched? We can extend work hours. Then you may run into issues, depending on what state and local government you're under, of overtime pay. Could be time and a half, could be 2 times. And then there's also the possibility of increasing your size, which increases the complexity of the operation. Collectively, all 4 of these alternatives have one thing in common. That they increase your costs and will have an effect on your bottom line margins. Are there other possible solutions? Yes, there are. And for this portion of the presentation, I'm going to turn it over to our founder, Jargon. Jargon?
Thank you, RJ. And thank you to all the participants for taking your time out. RJ talked about the impending immigration reforms and the potential impact it could have on MSPs. He also mentioned about some other possible choices available to you. But are these the only choices available? Isn't there a way to address this? Isn't there a way to maintain service levels, to lower your cost of operation, and address your skill gaps outside of these options? I think the solution lies in moving a part of the operation to an offshore network operations center, and we call it the remote delivery model. How does this model work? Take a look at this picture on the screen. On the left-hand side of your screen is the typical setup that you would have in your organization. You will have your help desk resources. You will have your level 1, level 2, level 3 resources sitting in their US offices or in your client sites, managing the client's infrastructure. And what we suggest is to set up an offshore center, in this case in India. This offshore team would work on your help desk tool, create tickets, and manage escalations. They also work on your existing RMM tool to handle incidents. This team would work seamlessly, absolutely seamlessly with your team in the US, and in fact works as an extended arm for your US team. Given the cost structures in India, this could bring down your operation cost significantly. But one question that may come to your mind is, will this work for me? Or this only for large corporations? Well, I think at this stage we want to present to you a case study of what we've done over the last 3 years with an MSP in Denver. While the clients demanded better service, this MSP was faced with the problem of getting on board skilled engineers, training them, and more importantly, retaining them. Their engineers were stretched way beyond work hours, and therefore prone to missing alerts. So this engagement started as a simple monitoring service to make sure that no alerts were missed. And that was the beginning of the engagement 3 years ago. What started as a pure monitoring service over the 3-year period has graduated to incident management and problem resolution as well. Today, this setup manages close to 20,000 devices for the clients, manages 22 client environments, and the service window, 15 hours a day, 365 days a year. From a technology standpoint, we manage multiple operating systems. We manage Windows, Linux, AIX, VMware, a very complex network infrastructure, servers, and storage. Today, our team is an integral part of their delivery team, and work moves seamlessly between the two teams in Chennai and the US teams. How has this MSP benefited out of this? They actually seen significant improvement in their SLA, and more importantly, great savings in the cost of operations. So what has enabled this MSP from an overall operations standpoint? They've been able to focus on new businesses, getting new logos on board, and process improvement. Process improvement is something which normally tends to take a back seat in the heat of the operations. This pictorially represents where we started and where we ended in terms of the whole infrastructure management solution for this client. No wonder the client had a lot of good words to say about how this works, and I think they've become the champion of what they've been calling the follow the sun model. So how does this model help MSPs like yours? What we would suggest for starters would be to offload your rudimentary tasks to us. The software center can handle your L1 and maybe some L2 activities. This will help you engage your team in the US with more challenging work, and in the process, probably get more value out of them. Once this operation stabilizes, you could then move on from L1 to L2. You could also justify paying them increased wages, and this will also help you retain your employees. More importantly, your costs could come down by almost 62%. This illustrates a typical transition model. When I said what we do as starters in terms of plain vanilla monitoring, for starters, we could handle your night shifts and your outside office work hours, monitoring the environment and escalating calls to your team. We then gradually progress to L2 level resolutions based on an SOP, and finally to a full-blown L1 and L2 support. What kind of environments will this model support? From a data center perspective, you could have the server environment, storage environment, multiple operating systems, virtual environments, both VMware and hypervisor, messaging, collaboration, etc. From a network perspective, any complex network, routing, switching, wireless devices, so on and so forth. And from a security standpoint, you manage firewalls, intrusion detection systems, antivirus, patch management, and even mobile device management. A quick preview of what we are as an organization. We've been an organization for 26 years in the system integration business and working with multiple vendors like Cisco, Microsoft, IBM, EMC, RSA, just name a few of them. That has given us tremendous exposure to these technologies. Also, working with multiple complex environments has helped us hone our skills. Today, with an established managed service practice, we manage close to 200,000 devices across multiple countries, across 300 clients, and all this with about 150 certified, skilled resources. So much so that we're so confident in delivering significant business value to the organization. Values in terms of operational efficiency, cost saving, improved customer service, and most importantly, improved profitability. So a bit about this model that we're going to offer you a 2-week proof of concept. And RJ, I think it's up to you to take it over from here and explain what we offer in this model.
Fantastic. Thank you very much, Jagan. One thing I did want to point out is that when we talk about the model that Jagan just articulated, it's exactly what we do now for one of the largest data center companies in the entire world. We do it through a local MSP who white labels our services under their umbrella, and we're the behind the scenes level 1 and level 2 resource providers. So regardless of what size organization you are, we have the ability to scale up and scale down based on your needs, similar to what we've done with them. With respect to the 2-week proof of concept, it's very simple. We'll put together a document that articulates what we'll do within the first 1 or 2 weeks, and you decide whether or not we are capable of doing what we say we can do. And our bet is that we put our money where our mouth is, and you'll be very pleased with how we perform, and we want to keep us on board. The overall objective is what we started out with, is as we are looking toward ways to prepare for the impacts of increasing costs from a technology standpoint and being able to maintain our service level agreements, retain our employees going forward, that it's best as U.S. corporations that we try and offload some of the rudimentary tasks of supporting our clients to a more cost-effective model, and that's what we offer from a fourth dimension technology standpoint. We're welcome to open it up for any questions that you may have out here in the audience. Sunil?
Thank you so much, RJ and Jagan, for your presentations. Yes, we do already have a question now. It's from a viewer called Kenneth. So Kenneth wants to know how much time is required for transitioning basic monitoring. So Jagan, would you like to take this one?
Yes, I will. Thanks, Kenneth, for your question. If you look at the transition model, the early things that one would do is to transition the monitoring. And at this phase, what we would need is primarily, we need to add the email IDs of the offshore resources into an alert system, set up a VPN, and we are up and running. And I would assume that this would take about a couple of weeks for us to get this up and running. Yeah, so now that's the. Any other questions on it?
Yes, we have another question. This one is from Colin, and Colin wants to know what security measures do we have in place? Jagan, I think this one goes to you too.
Oh yeah, thank you. First and foremost, our network operations center has the right access control, and it is securely monitored. It's protected with a firewall. We use a point-to-point VPN and connectivity to the client infrastructure. We also offer additional protection by ensuring that the networks are physically isolated across client environments. And we are also right now in the process of getting ourselves certified ISO 27001 to make sure that any apprehension on the security front of the clients is taken care of. So yeah.
Thank you again, Jagan. So as of now, that's all for the questions. Viewers, please keep in mind that any other questions you have, we'd be happy to take them and answer your questions, or any queries you have, please contact us. RJ has put up his email address on your screens. So that's about it from us today. Thank you so much for being a part of this session, and we hope to do business with you. Goodbye.